Is bicycling with a kilt possible, or is it more difficult to keep things modest and not make the kilt fly up?
Possible? Yes. Desirable?
We did a my take, or I think I don't know if you said it, but I had a take on wearing a kilt with a motorcycle, and my general takeaway is no, you probably shouldn't, because you don't want the stuff flapping and hitting the spokes and getting sucked in there and dead. We don't encourage our fans dying. That being said, I saw a video recently of a tutorial of a guy in a kilt who said this is how you wear a kilt on a motorcycle. There was a lot of gathering and bunching and tucking.
Yeah.
Seemed like a whole lot of effort, and I don't know how effective it would be when both hands are on the handlebars driving down the road at 80 miles an hour and the wind whipping up your kilt. But he seemed to think it was effective, basically tucking everything underneath, tucking everything this way, folding things. On a bike, the seat isn't going to be as wide.
That's what I was saying.
Things drape
you have to
down
get the
a lot
bulk
more.
on a motorcycle. You got the bulk of the structure of the bike as well as the saddle.
Yeah,
to kind of monkey around with that stuff. And I have recently, I think it might have been on Kilts and Culture Facebook group. Somebody posted an idea of using a diaper pin style kilt pin to pin the back of the kilt to the apron or under apron to give you some modesty if you're riding on something. But I think it's the same problem. And on a bike, you're absolutely right. You wouldn't have. It's just just the frame of the bike and a little saddle.
I will
you're
point
be
this out
flopping
as
all
well.
over the place.
Pinning the front apron or the under apron to the back of the under pleats. When you're seated and you try to pull the pleats from behind you forward and try to pin these two layers together, you're putting a large pointy object with the ability to come unhooked right in your crotch. Less than ideal. Just saying.
I'm going to refrain from all the jokes I could possibly make at this juncture.
I don't think we need any jokes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But here's the thing. We had a question not unlike this on the list. Someone was asking, what did the Highlanders do when they were riding a horse? And the answer is they didn't wear a kilt. That's when they wore trews. In that historical instance, horses were not something that your typical Highlander owned. They barely had even enough shillings to buy a pair of shoes in town. They couldn't even afford to buy shoes. They were not going to own a horse in the environment they lived in. If you had a horse, chances are you wear trews. If you have a bicycle in the 19th century, when the safety bicycle was invented, one of the very first things that happened was they invented that scalloped out frame for the ladies so that it could accommodate a skirt. So you could possibly ride a women's bicycle with your kilt. But the other thing they realized very quickly was that women would do better if they had a split skirt or bloomer type pants. Bicycling pants for women were invented in like the 1890s because of this problem. So kilts and bicycles don't really mix. I mean, if it's something you gotta do because you're commuting on a bike and you want to wear your kilt to work or something, then okay, then you try some of the tricks that we're talking about. I would wear bike shorts underneath, for lack of chafing and also modesty. But it's really not a garment that's designed to go with that technology.
Yeah, I would
Never
even
has
go,
been.
I would even go further and say leave the kilt off, fold it up, put it in a backpack, and go to work or wherever you're going on the bike in that, and then strap it on when you get there. The kilt, as much as we love the kilt, you can't tell from me wearing pants today, but
You're totally blowing our cred here,
I'm
man.
screwing everything up. I'm never wearing these again. As much as we love the kilt and we love wearing it daily, aside from today, it's not necessarily suited for all things. Form follows function. You need to wear the thing that will work for the thing.
Right.
So if the kilt doesn't work for you, or frankly, if you're going to screw up the kilt, they're not cheap. Wear the right thing or wear an old pair of shorts or whatever, and then get into it when you get there.
Yeah. So, again, you could hack it if you're in a situation where you really want to, but it's not ideal. I know utility kilts. I have a survival utility kilt, and it includes
the modesty snap?
It has the modesty snap thing, which is actually a wooden toggle and some elastic band, so you could actually do that, pinning the front and the back together. It looked like diapers. I tried it once, and I hated how it looked, so I never used it again. And it's like, how often am I going to need this anyway? you know.
Yeah.
But so yeah, if you're gonna do it, I would wear bike shorts at least.
I would also argue this.
So if your tucking doesn't work, you don't have a problem.
I would argue that the Utilikilt, being a reverse Kenosi pleating,
Is
or
better.
Kenosi pleating, would be better
I agree.
for that.
I completely
because
agree.
you have the reverse box pleat center of the back,
Yep.
and when you pull it forward, it's not going to screw up all the pleats.
Right.
And then you have, you could just pull just the under apron towards the back, so the front apron still stays flat.
Yeah, and the Canusi pleats would basically go to the sides of the saddle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
So that one would be the best suited, and we still don't like it that much.
nope.
So don't do it.
Or if you do it, exercise caution.
Yes, indeed.
What? Mac, what's going on?
We just got a response that says, do not wear kilts on a mobility scooter unless you want air conditioning.
Yep.
Fair point.
Yep. And I remember Utilkilts did these make your own commercial for us.
Mock
contest,
commercials.
The
Yep.
mock commercials. And one of them was a guy on
A moped or a motorcycle, yeah.
And the joke is he's like going down the street and you can see him from the waist up and he's waving at people and the front of the kilt is like up here in his face and he's just like and women are going like ah, you know, it's just hysterical.
The other problem that I have, just thinking about it real quick, if you're wearing a kilt and it on a bike and it falls down behind you, unless you have a fender on the bike,
could
your
get caught in the
kilt
chain.
is going to get rubbed on the tire. So you could get a
Yeah.
hole worn in your kilt, or you could get the kilt really screwed
Yeah.
up from the tire. So yeah, I'm back to
that's why
don't do it.
That's why women in the 1890s modified their fashion if they were avid cyclists.
Yeah, somebody else said about getting caught in a chain.
Yep.
But women's bike was mentioned quite a few times.
Yeah, I think
in the
that
thread
would be a
here.
compromise solution. Honestly, I don't know why it's a women's bike. If I'm on a bike
And you're
I
going to go
risk it-
forward and off? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather go off into air than go off into the top frame of it seems like it should be a man's
You
bike.
okay? I'm fine.
Yeah.